Flirting isn't just about attraction. It's a dance between confidence and vulnerability. It's the art of saying, "I like you," without saying it out loud. But when fear whispers, what if they don't feel the same? Something inside you freezes. You overthink every glance, every word, every silence. You want to connect, but you don't want to be rejected. This is where real flirting begins. Not in perfection, but in courage, because real charm isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to show up, even when you're scared. So today, let's uncover 5 ways to flirt when your heart is trembling, but your soul still wants to try. It begins with presence, the quiet kind that doesn't beg to be seen, but is impossible to ignore. When you flirt from presence, you aren't trying to impress, you're simply there, fully, intentionally, unapologetically. You're not waiting for their approval to feel attractive. You're already rooted in your own energy, in your own quiet confidence. Every movement, every smile, every glance becomes charged with something genuine because it's not coming from a place of performance. It's coming from awareness. Presence is what people truly feel. It's what makes a room feel different the moment you walk in, even if you say nothing at all. When you are emotionally present, you're not in your head overthinking what to say next. You're not scanning their face for clues of approval. You're not calculating how to appear charming. You're simply connected to the moment, to yourself, to the subtle energy that flows between two people who are awake enough to feel it. That's what draws someone in. That's what makes ordinary conversation feel electric. Flirting from presence is about energy exchange, not verbal strategy. You could be talking about the simplest things, a song, the weather, a random story, but the depth comes from how you say it. The softness in your tone, the calm rhythm of your words, the ease behind your body language. That's what people notice. You can't fake that ease. It's born from self-assurance, from being so comfortable with who you are that you no longer seek permission to express it. The fear of rejection often pulls you out of presence. It sends you spiraling into your mind, creating imaginary scenarios of what might go wrong. But the moment you return to your body, to your breath, to the sound of your own voice, you come back to reality. You remember that flirting isn't about forcing a response, it's about sharing a frequency. When you're present, you stop chasing validation and start creating connection. So when you flirt, don't focus on saying the perfect line or guessing what they're thinking. Focus on being as here. Let your energy be calm but alive, gentle but firm. Look at them not to read them, but to see them. Speak not to impress, but to express. That is emotional presence, the invisible confidence that makes people feel you, even before they understand why. Play is the secret language of attraction. It's light, it's teasing, and it carries no weight of expectation. When you flirt through play, you create a safe space where tension can breathe instead of suffocating under pressure. You're not trying to convince anyone to like you. You're simply inviting them into your energy, letting curiosity do the work. The beauty of playfulness is that it disarms fear. It turns uncertainty into excitement, silence into spark. It reminds both of you that connection doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to feel alive. Flirting with a playful touch isn't about games or manipulation. It's about being emotionally spontaneous, the kind of spontaneity that comes from being comfortable with the unknown. You say something witty, they laugh, and in that small moment, a thread of warmth weaves between you. You don't push, you don't force, you just let the rhythm unfold. This is how chemistry grows naturally, not through intensity, but through lightness. Play tells the other person, I'm interested, but I'm not desperate. I'm enjoying this moment with you, not chasing an outcome. Restraint becomes your power here. You don't reveal everything you feel all at once. You give glimpses, fragments, pieces, enough to intrigue, but never enough to overwhelm. Mystery isn't created by silence, it's created by selective openness. You let them see your charm, your humor, your warmth, but you hold back enough for them to wonder what lies beneath. That wonder keeps them engaged. It builds anticipation, and anticipation is the heartbeat of attraction. When you're afraid they won't reciprocate, playfulness gives you emotional protection. It allows you to express interest without emotional exposure. You can tease without confessing, flirt without clinging, show curiosity without fear. Even if they don't respond the way you hoped, you haven't lost anything because your play wasn't a plea for validation. It was an act of confidence. Every smile, every teasing word, every playful glance becomes a message. I'm comfortable enough with myself to enjoy this, even if it goes nowhere. That attitude changes everything. It shifts the energy from anxious to effortless. People are drawn to those who can make them feel light, who can turn ordinary moments into something alive. When you flirt with playfulness and restraint, you stop chasing attention and start embodying magnetism. And magnetism doesn't chase, it attracts naturally. Authenticity is what separates empty charm from real connection. When you flirt with genuine admiration, your words carry a different weight. They don't feel rehearsed or exaggerated. They feel alive. Because real admiration comes from noticing, not performing. It's when you pay attention to the small details, the tone of their laugh, the way they express themselves, the little quirks that make them unique, and you let your appreciation show in subtle, sincere ways. That sincerity is rare and people feel it instantly. Flirting becomes more powerful when it's rooted in truth. You don't compliment for reaction, you acknowledge because you mean it. There's a softness in that kind of honesty, a calm confidence that says, I see something valuable in you and I'm not afraid to express it. It's not flattery, it's recognition. And recognition touches deeper than attraction. It tells the other person, you're seen. In a world full of surface-level validation, being truly seen is magnetic. When fear of rejection hovers, authenticity protects you. Because when your intention is real, you have nothing to lose. You're not trying to manipulate an outcome. You're expressing yourself in alignment with your truth. If they respond, it feels natural. If they don't, your value remains untouched. That's the freedom of honest admiration. It doesn't depend on reciprocity to stay meaningful. It's a reflection of your emotional maturity, not your need for approval. Real compliments don't scream for attention, they whisper with depth. Instead of saying something predictable, you focus on how they make you feel or what genuinely catches your attention. You might say something that connects to who they are rather than how they look. Because true charm lies in emotional intelligence, in the ability to make someone feel appreciated for their essence, not just their appearance. That kind of connection goes beyond attraction. It builds respect, curiosity, and emotional chemistry. When you flirt with authenticity, you stop chasing perfection. You allow yourself to be human, warm, honest, and unfiltered. You show interest without pretending. You express admiration without expectation. And that subtle energy shift changes everything. It creates a space where both people can relax, where masks drop and real emotion can surface. Because at the core of all genuine connection lies one truth. The heart always recognizes sincerity, even when the mind hesitates. Flirting isn't just about what you say or how you move. It's about how you pace the energy between two people. Emotional pacing is what turns a fleeting interaction into something that lingers. It's the art of knowing when to engage and when to pull back, when to speak and when to let silence do the talking. When you flirt with rhythm, you create a flow, a gentle rise and fall that keeps the other person intrigued without ever feeling overwhelmed. Connection needs space to breathe, and that space is where curiosity grows. People often ruin potential connections by rushing. They want instant clarity, immediate feedback, quick reassurance. But attraction doesn't bloom in speed, it unfolds in stillness. The slower you go, the deeper the emotional current becomes. You give them time to process your energy, to replay your words in their mind, to miss the sound of your voice before hearing it again. That anticipation is the pulse of desire. It makes each interaction feel intentional rather than impulsive. When fear takes over, you might feel the urge to overcompensate, to talk more, text faster, fill every silence with effort. But that's where emotional pacing saves you. It reminds you that silence isn't rejection, it's space. You don't chase the moment, you let it unfold. You allow pauses because pauses make your energy feel confident. Only someone who feels secure within themselves can hold stillness without panic. And that stillness, that composure, makes you magnetic. Emotional pacing also protects your vulnerability. You don't reveal too much too soon. You share pieces of yourself gradually, letting each one land and be felt before giving more. You don't rush the emotional intimacy, you build it brick by brick, moment by moment. Every delayed response, every thoughtful pause, every soft withdrawal is part of the rhythm. It creates a dance, push and pull, approach and retreat, energy and rest. When you master this rhythm, your presence becomes addictive. The other person begins to sense your calm, your patience, your quiet confidence. They start wondering what you'll say next, when they'll see you again, what you're thinking when you go silent. And that wonder is powerful. Emotional pacing turns fear into control, anxiety into grace. It shows that you're not desperate for connection. You're simply allowing it to find its natural rhythm. And that rhythm always feels like art. There's a whole conversation happening in silence, in the flicker of a glance, the curve of a smile, the way your eyes linger just a second longer than necessary. Nonverbal cues speak louder than words ever could. Eye contact, especially, is the heartbeat of flirting. It's how you say, "I see you," without opening your mouth. The moment your eyes meet, there's an instant current, a shared secret that neither of you needs to define. You don't hold it too long, just enough for it to mean something, just enough to let curiosity spark. Then you look away, leaving behind a question that only your energy can answer. Tension is born in those tiny moments, the ones that seem ordinary but carry unspoken electricity. The brush of your hand as you pass something, the gentle lean forward when you listen, the subtle smile that lingers after a joke. These gestures, though small, create emotional dialogue. They invite someone closer without words, without risk, without exposure. Because when you're afraid of rejection, the safest way to flirt is through energy. It's not loud or obvious, it's quiet and precise. It draws attention not by demanding it, but by earning it through subtle confidence. Nonverbal flirting works because it's rooted in awareness. You're tuned into the moment, reading the rhythm between you and the other person. You're aware of your body language, relaxed but intentional, open but composed. You don't force connection, you guide it. Your eyes do the work your voice doesn't need to. Your stillness speaks louder than any pickup line could. And the beauty of it all is that this kind of communication never feels desperate. It feels natural, almost instinctive. When you master the art of subtle tension, you realize that attraction isn't built in declarations or grand gestures. It's built in mystery. You create space for imagination, for wonder. You don't give everything away at once. You let them fill in the blanks. That's what keeps their mind replaying the moment long after it's passed. Flirting through nonverbal cues is confidence in its purest form. It's saying, "I don't need to chase attention, my energy is enough." And that confidence doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't overwhelm, it lures. Every glance, every smile, every small gesture becomes part of a quiet, magnetic dance that speaks the one language everyone understands: feeling. Confidence is not about never feeling afraid, it's about being anchored enough to stay calm even when fear whispers. When you flirt and they don't immediately respond the way you hoped, the insecure part of you might start to panic, wondering if you said too much, did too little, or misread the signs. But anchored self-worth means your stability doesn't shake based on someone else's reaction. You don't crumble when attention isn't returned because your value isn't up for negotiation. You know who you are, and you carry that knowing quietly like an invisible armor that no rejection can pierce. Flirting from a place of self-worth transforms the entire experience. You're no longer performing to earn affection, you're expressing yourself because it feels good to do so. You're not trying to prove your desirability, you're simply allowing it to exist. That shift changes the energy completely. When you stop needing validation, your presence becomes effortlessly magnetic. You're grounded, centered, at ease, and that energy is what draws people in. They can sense that you're not waiting for approval, that you're comfortable within your own world. Anchored self-worth also gives you emotional resilience. When someone doesn't reciprocate your energy, you don't interpret it as a personal failure. You understand that chemistry can't be forced, That timing matters. That attraction is not an achievement to be earned, but a resonance to be shared. You stay calm, you smile, and you move forward, still open, still kind, still glowing. Because your sense of self isn't built on how others see you, it's built on how deeply you know yourself. Detachment here doesn't mean indifference, it means emotional balance. You can be fully engaged in the moment, fully expressive, and still be at peace with whatever outcome unfolds. You flirt not because you need a reaction, but because you enjoy connection as an art form. And even when that connection doesn't deepen, you don't lose your rhythm. You keep your light steady. That's the quiet power of anchored self-worth. It turns rejection into redirection, fear into poise, longing into strength. You stop chasing what doesn't flow naturally, and you begin to trust that what's meant for you will always meet you halfway. Because true magnetism comes not from needing to be chosen, but from being unshakably at home in your own energy.